Topping today's news, the Prime Minister advocates for faster trials. The Royal Bahamas Police Force lays to rest one of their own, and the Royal Bahamas Defense Force and the Bahamas National Trust strengthened their partnership. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Sandals. This is your JCN Evening News. Thanks for joining us. Prime Minister Philip Davis urging members of the Judiciary to pay more attention to those out on bail as he expresses concern over the increase in crime. In recent weeks, the spate of murders in the country have been on those individuals out on bail. Prime Minister Davis says the courts must take control of their trials because there is an extreme backlog of cases nearing collapse.
The courts have to pay more attention to persons who are going to be out on bail. The court has to take control, I think, of their trials so that people could have trials. I mean, the backlog of cases is just astronomical, and it's almost nearing the brunt of collapse, in my view. And so the courts have to step up, and they need to hear these cases. The community, Bahamians, have to appreciate as well that in the administration of justice, they have a very critical role to play. And that is to be, when called upon to be jurors, they have to step up to be jurors and not be giving excuses. Because if you don't have jurors to hear the cases are not going to be tried.
Prime Minister Davis also highlighted the length of time it takes for trials to come to a conclusion, calling for more expeditious trials, which again requires judges to take control of their court.
What is astounding to me, in my heyday of practicing law, I used to do murder cases 3 days, a week the longer. If a murder trial takes a week, that's a long time. Trials for murder is now taking months and 2 months. I still can't understand why trials take so long. But that requires judges taking control of their court and controlling their court. At the end of the day, they need to get the cases done, finished, and if anyone is aggrieved by any decision, there's another level to go to.
This issue was expected to be raised in Cabinet on Tuesday, specifically the National Security's vision to decide how the government will deal with the issue. Prime Minister Davis says he hopes to put more resources into the criminal justice system to prevent crimes from happening and increase rehabilitation measures. Questions on the court's process for convicting suspected murderers are ongoing, with even the Prime Minister expressing his concerns. Jcn News hears from the Minister of National Security, Wayne Munro, on the issue. Cale Campbell reports.
When asked about the court process following the Prime Minister's challenge to the courts to take charge, National Security Minister Wayne Munro concurred and says there needs to be a more proactive approach. However, he explains that the courts are recovering from shutting down during the COVID lockdowns.
We have a lot of rules that have been put in place that can make trials more efficient. When I was in practice, a case that took 4 months to try, I tried as defense counsel in 7 days. And so if you permit people to waste time, a case that could be disposed of in 5 to 7 days will take 3 to 4 months. And so there are a lot of dynamics in it. Judges sometimes say they don't want to stop a defense counsel because everyone is going to say my lawyer didn't get to present my case.
The minister referenced his 3-month tenure as a Supreme Court judge, explaining that jurors aren't the issue, but an array of matters such as prosecution preparedness, indulgence of defendants, and general organization.
I was on the Chief Justice when Jane Jones, so I was Chief Justice, the Lay Reduction Task Force it was before 2000, I believe, that produced a report. I've asked them to look for it because a lot of the recommendations there can go quite a ways to addressing the backlog. So for instance, there was a suggestion judges get 5 weeks vacation. If there are 10 judges in the criminal division, that's 50 weeks of vacation for the judges in a year. That's a year of trial time, right? Well, when they're out of their chambers on vacation, nobody sits in their court. So you lose about 1 year trial time to vacation.
Minister Monroe suggests to follow the United Kingdom's custom of having members of the Queen's Council fill in for judges on vacation, reclaiming 50 weeks of time for criminal trials. Now, Minister Monroe was also asked about the implications of the overturning of the Roe v. Wade ruling in the United States, subsequently banning abortions across the U.S. To that, the minister responded that it's a matter of U.S. law.
And that there is no issue in the Bahamas of any constitutional right to an abortion. So that doesn't touch and concern us at all. The U.S. Supreme Court simply decided that abortion is not protected by their Constitution and is a matter to be covered by legislation in the states or by the Congress. That doesn't touch or concern us at all.
For Jcn News, I'm Cale Campbell.
Thanks for that report, Cale. Police officially releasing the autopsy report, which reveals what led to the death of 3 Americans at the Sandals Emerald Bay Resort on Exuma last month. The report revealing that Michael and Robbie Phillips and Vincent Paul Chirella all died as a result of asphyxiation due to carbon monoxide poisoning. The 3, along with Mr. Chirella's wife, Donna, were found in their villas unresponsive. Mrs. Chirella was airlifted to a hospital in Florida. Many had labeled the incident as mysterious. Sandals has issued a release noting that in response, they have placed carbon monoxide detectors in all of their guest rooms at all of their properties. The matter remains under active investigation. As the country's COVID-19 cases have been steady in the double digits in recent weeks, today at the Pan American Health Organization, or PAHO's weekly press briefing, Director of PAHO, Dr. Carissa Etienne, says in the Caribbean, COVID-19 cases have been plateauing for the past 2 weeks, with a 3.2% increase during the last week. She says these numbers still serve as a reminder that many people are still vulnerable and countries should not lower their guard.
Indeed, there is work to be done to reach all who need a vaccine. Looking at Central America, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, and Panama have gone beyond the 70% goal, and El Salvador is approaching it. In the Americas, we still have 11 countries that have not reached the first goal of vaccinating 40% of their people against COVID-19.
As of this week, 168,257 people in the country have been fully vaccinated against the COVID-19 virus, and 158,024 people with 1 dose of the vaccine. Dr. Etienne says it is important for us to keep up with the COVID measures and vaccinations because post-COVID conditions, also called long COVID, can last 3 months or more in the body and is more likely to occur in individuals who are not vaccinated or who have underlying health conditions.
It is difficult to be precise about how many people are affected, since cases of post-COVID condition are not always officially reported. But we know that people who had underlying health conditions, people who did not get vaccinated against COVID-19, people with other risk factors such as asthma, and those who smoke or vape are particularly at risk for this condition. We also know that people that had COVID once and recovered may still develop post-COVID condition if they are infected again. The post-COVID condition can be extremely debilitating. The most common symptom is severe and persistent fatigue. People may also experience shortness of breath, loss of taste and smell, and other respiratory, cognitive, and sensory symptoms.
She contends that masking and social distancing when transmissions are high is still very effective in slowing the spread of the virus and prevention of long COVID. A sad day for the Royal Bahamas Police Force, along with family and friends of the late Chief Superintendent Wayman Kelsey Demerit. Chief Superintendent Demerit was the commanding officer at the Quaku Street Police Station, where he collapsed on June 17th before being rushed to the Doctors Hospital, where he later died. In a full police military service today at Evangelistic Temple, the late Chief Superintendent was described as an excellent officer with over 30 years of service. Commissioner of Police Paul Roll paying a tribute to his fallen comrade says Chief Superintendent Demerit had remarkable leadership abilities such as integrity, initiative, and professionalism that got him high in the ranks to Chief Superintendent in 2021. Commissioner Rowe appealed to incoming Commissioner of Police Clayton Fernanda, National Security Minister Wayne Monroe, and Minister of Labor Keith Bell, who were all in attendance for ambulance services for police, as there were no ambulances available when Demerit was in need.
Minister, I have to appeal to you, sir. This is the fourth policeman in my time who died, and when we called, they said there was no ambulance. That can't be acceptable. And I was out of the country when I got the call from control, and they tell me there's no ambulance. I said, no. And you know, you're helpless. I felt helpless. And I said, is he okay? Call the medic. Fernanda, I got an ambulance. And between you and Minister, please outfit the ambulance. That when our police officers need, we have our ambulance that can respond.
Minister of National Security Wayne Monroe, who also brought remarks, says Demerit was one who could be trusted to lead all men. He was a great friend and he will be missed.
I've lived with Big D through our younger days. We're not so young now, through our younger days and our days now. And I can say he lived a full life. He clearly made his days count, and he made them count for his family and for his nation.
The late Chief Superintendent Demerit took his final resting place at the Lakeview Memorial Garden on John F. Kennedy Drive. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.